We are in the Lexus RZ300e.
Mm-hmm.
It is the luxury trim level. And of the two RZ models, this is the lesser.
Front-wheel drive only.
Front-wheel drive only. But I'm intrigued with this because we talk a lot about EVs having all the horsepower.
Sure, yeah.
It's almost associated now. EVs have all the horsepower.
Yes.
They're the quickest thing.
Yes.
And you've got to have at least 600 to 1,000 horsepower to have something relevant. And this only has 201 horsepower and 196 pound-feet of torque. In a gasoline-powered car, that would be low numbers. But this, interestingly, kind of makes the case to buy an EV that doesn't have all the power. It's not like it's slow because all of that torque is available right now.
Yep.
So you're not really thinking about the lack of power, the lack of torque because it's an EV. You're getting good power out of it, and then you read the numbers and you think, really? Because this is one of the lower powered EVs I've ever driven.
True.
But the problem is the price, because this is a Lexus, and it's the luxury trim level.
And it's the Lexus version of the Toyota BZ4x.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. This is $11,000 or $12,000 more at $64,500 than that BZ4X to share pretty much the same underpinnings.
For sure.
So you think, why am I buying this?
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver. I'm actually wondering about second and third owners of this because at such a low power level, a high price, and a very low range, there's all kinds of estimates. There's real-world driving. Lexus claims somewhere in the 220 to 240, I think, for overall range, but that's just not true because many other testers have gotten somewhere close to 180 miles of range, and then we haven't even introduced weather and temperature. Once you do, that turns this into a golf cart.
We brought it up in the BZ4X because we had similar problems there. That was a car, and this as well are an EV that it doesn't have enough range for the price.
Right. $64,000?
This starting to be even more expensive than the BZ4X. They have done things in here. I actually like the treatments on the doors. They've done things in here to elevate the feel of it because they are chasing a Lexus buyer, but fundamentally, you are still dealing with an EV with less than 200 miles of usable range, front-wheel drive only, not all-wheel drive, mid-$60,000.
It's a lot.
And it doesn't have high-speed charging structure to it. The most this can take is a 150 kilowatt charger, and while that's not nothing, in a world that we're now getting into 300 kilowatt and higher where they can fast DC charge your car, this can't do that. So I start to try to reverse engineer this to the buyer.
Okay.
This is for the Lexus buyer. You only buy Lexus. That's all you buy is Lexus.
This is true.
Okay.
Yes.
You like the Lexus service, which, let's be honest, I know plenty of people who only buy Lexus, my mother-in-law, for Lexus service. They would never buy another brand. So you want the Lexus service experience, but you want an EV, and you have a garage where you can charge it yourself.
That
is the buyer.
Yes.
Because there's no point in buying this to charge it at other charge stations. And if you are a person who you use this as your kind of daily commute runabout, you probably won't use 180 miles today.
No.
So if you're just going back and forth to the office and to get groceries and that kind of stuff, you can probably do everything you need to do in 180 miles at most, and then you plug it in at night, like your phone, at your house, and in the morning you're ready to go again. That is a very specific EV buyer, but I think there may be enough. I think Lexus knows their market well enough. There's probably a market for this, but my issue is the minute you zoom out from Lexus, this makes no sense.
Exactly. My brain is baked because if you hold this up next to a brand new Tesla Model 3
or Model Y,
any Tesla really, of actually any year, you're getting better range, even used, for a lot less money, for $20,000+ less than what this costs. No, it doesn't feel as luxurious, yes. This insulates you entirely from the driving experience. So you're adding the Lexus sound deadening, the Alcantara ultra suede everywhere,
nice. The
plus
materials are
a
great.
quiet EV powertrain.
True, yeah.
And this is peak Lexus quiet. This is what every Lexus owner is looking for.
True.
So for that reason, you could justify wait, no you can't. $64,000. The variety of EVs that you can go buy that are either more fun to drive, have better power, a lot more power like the i5N, or have much better range.
Yeah.
This pales in comparison to all of those. So the only thing you're buying is really cool style and a very quiet, insulated experience.
Well, but I think it goes beyond that. I think the only thing you're buying is the brand and the brand experience. Because
That
the
may be
minute
it.
you zoom out from Lexus, I think this falls apart completely.
Yes.
Please don't misunderstand me. This and the BZ4X and the Solterra over at Subaru, engineering-wise, they all work. Okay, there's no issues with that. They're put together well. The technology's fine. The EV platform all of that works. It's just next to other EVs, they don't seem to make economic sense. And the issue here is we're within spitting distance of a base Macan EV.
Oh.
They start in the 70s. And look, I know what some of you are saying. Some of you are saying, yes, but what about rebates and all that kind of stuff? So let's look at Tesla before rebates, because Tesla's the king of getting you good rebates. Tesla before rebates, a Model Y, depending upon the model you want to go with, all of them have more range than this. All of them have better tech than this. But they are, between the models, $10,000 to $15,000 cheaper than this. For another SUV, you could get that all-wheel drive, and all of them have longer range.
But the Lexus buyer is going to say, yeah, but
it's not
quiet and it's not a Lexus.
It's not a Lexus. Look, I don't like the minimalist interior of the Tesla products. I actually prefer this interior to anything that Tesla is making.
Yeah.
But I have to look around a little bit. I'll give you one. The Genesis GV60. It's one of our favorite EVs.
Yes.
Is cheaper than this. It has a more luxurious feeling interior.
Better range.
Better
Drives
styling.
better.
Yes.
Better styling.
Better across the board from Genesis, who has a good warranty. So the minute I come away from the brand, I struggle with this mightily. If I stay in the cocoon of the Lexus brand, I think this is incredibly well executed.
If you're in the cocoon, it makes sense.
Yes.
Everything makes sense.
Well, yeah, we all have
For
our
the
little
most
bubbles
part.
now, and that gets frightening, doesn't it? Yeah.
The styling is peak Lexus, but you know what? It's one of the better looking SUVs on the road and one of the better looking EVs that I've seen.
Okay. All
I
right.
do actually like this new copper color introduced.
Copper Crest paint. You know, it's only $1,200 for this paint. Can you imagine how much Porsche would charge you for this paint? This is a $1,200 upcharge, and that's it.
Yeah, a lot.
For this paint.
A
Yeah.
lot. But it's got the two-tone, so it's got the black hood. And you know what? Because it's got the EV, that spindle grille, the Predator maw, is covered up. It's actually a full, solid shape, which actually really works for the styling elements. You walk around the car, and all these washouts, it introduces a theme, washes out into a nice, full surface, and you walk around to the back, and it's got the slightest ducktail. It's really good looking. Everywhere you look is aggressive. It's interesting. It does say technology future, but the problem is it's built on the BZ4X.
Yeah, that is an issue.
And if you want the better power and slightly more range, you buy the RZ450e, and then you're paying even more,
yeah.
for still less than a Tesla or any other EV on the market.
Yeah,
practically.
you mostly what you got there is more power and all-wheel drive. You can't really brag any more range.
Yeah, the range is not that great.
But again, I have to also keep coming back to how is the person using it, and if you use it, the range might not matter. If you use it back and from your home garage charger, commute, etc., you might not ever think about that. But I struggled most with the GV60.
Yeah.
I think that's the real one for me, because I know we like the, with the Eye of Sauron. I know we like that one.
And that's cool.
It's cool.
Stuff.
Cool across the board.
All right, when you jump in, you will be greeted by quiet. It does feel Lexus. It suddenly feels luxurious. You're not hearing the outside world, and it's this ultra suede. You've got this electrochromic glass roof here.
Yeah, watch it change. Whoa! And that got bright. And now it isn't.
Yeah, so that's cool. 20-inch wheels, and the ambient lighting that is there to soothe you, apparently.
It can.
The illumination. But you know what? The shapes, the theme continues on the inside. It's interesting to look at, and the backseat space is good.
Yeah, for sure.
The door thunk is great. Finally, Lexus has figured that out.
Yeah, it doesn't have a clank. We've had a few Lexus SUVs that clanked.
Yeah, they forgot to like stuff it with
I don't know what they didn't
insulation,
do.
expanding
Something,
foam or something. But you know what? This has that Lexus
all right,
insulate you feel.
Sure.
And then you start to think, wow, yeah, this is really great. But as you said, hold it up to any other EV on the market and it fails miserably, which makes me think along the lines of Toyota protecting its reputation by building under-stressed engines that will run a long time. So their reputation for reliability is a lot.
Sure.
Only 150 kilowatt charging, which is better than most, but it's not really DC. I mean, they call it DC fast charging, but it's not the fastest you can get.
No, it's not the fastest it's going now. Yeah.
So they're under-stressing the battery. They're under-stressing everything. Even though we know this battery could take a lot faster charging, they won't allow you to. So it lets you have that longer reputation, that longer reliability reputation.
I hear that.
Which makes me think this is not for the first buyer. It's for buyer number 3 or 4.
Interesting.
Because
when
it'll be so
when it's $18,000 because EVs plummet.
Correct.
This will be the best $18,000 you ever spent on a car. I like that. That's good.
Think, I got this luxury car for this cheap. Yeah, who cares? The range, but the battery's still in decent shape. You didn't have to replace it, and it's probably just going to run. That makes sense, but not at $64,000.
The price is the real killer here. And what's funny is that was our big conclusion in the BZ4X as well. We were like, wow, the price is problematic.
That was 53 plus.
Yeah, we're back.
No.
We're right back. Yeah, for sure. All right. The thing is, I think it's sitting here turned off. It's not. It's just that quiet.
It's just humming.
Here we go. Yep, it's just humming, waiting on driving.
All right, get ready for the Lexus experience.
I don't know that I like this color on this car, but I will give it props in one area. We've had this during one of those kind of nasty, snowy, melty spring season weeks when every car looks disgusting. The mud, the slush, you can't make any car of any color look good. And somehow, this is like dull repellent on this car. It's just, the hood looks nasty. The hood's black and it's look grimy like every other car in town. But somehow, it's like it's repellent. It just glows. It's just like foil all the time.
Maybe you pay for that. Maybe that's worth $64,000.
It isn't. It isn't. But there's that. Yeah.
Why the piano black on the hood? Like I thought we were done with piano black.
No, we're not done with piano black. It's here to continue to plague us.
I mean, the two-tone looks really cool. I really like it.
So this has the luxury package, which you have to pay a little bit extra money for, but I do think you want that. It's got, heated seats, cooled seats.
The rear seats are heated.
Rear seats are heated as well, which is good. And
nice.
That's the nice thing about EVs is they almost always have heated seats because it's easier than heating the cabin. But this is a nice place to be. It also, when you get that luxury package, gives you the Mark Levinson stereo, which of course Lexus is known for. Listen to the quiet. I bring up the stereo and I bring up the quiet because of something that I did notice. Because of the double pane glass, because of the insulation on this car, almost all the noise you hear on this comes from the floor. And it's accentuated when you turn the stereo on, which now fills the upper level and comes in from the doors and all the edges, right? So what I've noticed is all of the wind noise you hear, all the tire noise you hear, generally when you're in a car, you hear that kind of all over. It's kind of all encompassing. You're not sure the direction of all of that.
Yeah.
In this car, it all comes up through the floor, which is very interesting. The only noise is from beneath you. And when I was playing music and testing out that stereo, which is always good, it's always fun. You have to do that with a Lexus. I was noticing that even more. And even big mirrors are almost always a plague for wind noise. You really can't tell. You can't even tell they're out there as elephant ears creating wind noise. It's just the stuff coming off the road.
Well, maybe they forgot to wrap the battery in ultra suede. They wrapped everything else.
They did wrap everything else in the blue ultra
they
suede.
Forgot. That's why it's so
because
noisy.
that would have been $75,000.
Oh. Well, a Lexus owner would have justified that somehow and bought it anyway.
Because it would have been the Lexus experience that they can't get anywhere else. I really think this is for the Lexus buyer and the Lexus buyer only. I don't think anybody is coming to Lexus for this car. And I also think
look outside Lexus and there's other stuff.
No, I also think this is a stopgap measure so that Lexus, Toyota, both have a all battery electric in their lineup.
Yeah, but
the minute you look outside of EVs, there's a lot of great options in the Lexus lineup. And if you look outside of Lexus, you have better EV options. I mean, I do like this roof. That's not $65,000 either, but I do like. But you can get that. You get that on the Venza at like $40,000. I totally agree. Yes. I
feel like you waste your money if you buy this new. If you buy this as a third buyer, fourth buyer,
Somebody's got to buy it new, so there could be a third buyer, though. That's
Maybe
the problem.
so.
That will be the deal. You're right. That'll be the play.
How many of these can they sell? It will. You're
Not
right.
many.
It's only the Lexus buyer that thinks, oh, I really don't know much about EVs, and this is what EVs are these days. No, they're so much better. Almost every Chinese EV has better range and better amenities
for sure.
and
For sure.
better self-driving tech, and everything is better. But it's not a Lexus.
True.
Fall asleep over here.
Probably. You mentioned it earlier. The quiet builds you up toward the Lexus
You can
experience.
hear luxury
Yes.
or not hear it.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
Which
I mean,
is-
honestly, you mentioned it. This is one of the quieter EVs I've been in.
It's
very
great.
quiet.
It's
here. Yes, for
great.
sure. So, I mean, it definitely
but
has
low
that.
range,
Yeah.
not much power, too heavy, doesn't drive very well.
Yeah. It drives like their RC does. It looks in here like the
Yes.
NX. I mean, it definitely has bones of other Lexus products. It's any kind of mid-grade Lexus 5-seat SUV. It just happens to have an electric powertrain. It doesn't have any standout feature. And in electrics, it falls behind on the things that most people, not all of us, but most people look for in electrics are two things: lots of range, fast charging. This doesn't have either one. It doesn't have either of the things that people typically look for in an electric car. So I'm beating it to death. I am back to, you're buying it because it's a Lexus that happens to be electric.
Okay, I have an alternative for you.
Great.
At the very bottom end of all the Lucid Airs, that is about 70
Whoa.
to 80,
Whoa.
somewhere in there. Way better range, a lot faster, interesting to drive, better styling,
Better
truly
interior.
modern, better.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Across the board.
That's tempting.
So if you're here, you have to spend just a slight amount more, and that will be worth it. Because if you've already justified this at $64 in your mind, almost $65,000, spend another 10, get a base Lucid Air, and you're done.
Or get a 1 or 2 year old Lucid Air. It's probably cheaper than this.
Yes.
Those are falling off a cliff.
I cannot justify this. It's cool. The styling is great. It actually stands out on the road.
Especially in this color. Yeah.
But I can't tell you to go buy one because this will, well, only at a third if you're the third buyer. Fourth.
So let's see. We're talking about 2030. If you're watching this in 2030 and you're looking for it to be the third buyer of a Lexus
Third or fourth, yeah.
RZ300e, we say go for
I
it.
hope you got a deal.
Find one that still has 100 and something miles of range and lean in.
Yes, the battery's
Uh-huh.
unstressed, the powertrain's unstressed. Cheap.
Perfect for the third buyer.
Yes.
If you are looking for the first buyer, the third buyer, whatever buyer you are for the Lexus product, you want to look at Autotempest.com. They search all of the other search sites for cars as fast as you can typically search on one site alone. You can find any of the Lexus SUVs. You can find any electrics that are better than this Lexus SUV.
Shop for the other Lexus.
Yes,
Any other Lexus product, really.
All that, or other EVs.
Or
This is where
other
we're landing.
EVs, just-
But whatever you're looking for, Autotempest.com/everyday is the place to go. Lets them know that we sent you all the cars, one search at Autotempest.
Don't buy this. Don't buy this.
I just
don't buy it.
I'm struggling with
don't
the fact
buy this.
there is a buyer for this. I know the buyer for this. It is that Lexus only person. I would buy a different Lexus or a different EV. That's where I'm left.
Yes, don't buy this. But the problem is, if nobody buys these, they won't be used.
They won't be available for a third buyer. See, really, you're doing a public service. You're going to buy this because you like Lexus and you're thinking about that third buyer. Actually, what it is, it's your third kid. That's what it is. You buy it. When you're done with it, you give it to the first kid. And then when the first kid's done, they give it to the third kid.
Yeah.
And that's the third buyer.
Keep it in the family. It's the legacy.
Because the second kid doesn't want this.
No.
The middle child's got to be given some love, and the middle child's going to be given love by letting them get a different car. I've created a whole scenario here, but I think I found the buyer for the Lexus.
Materials were used. People invested their time and money and energy into
Yep.
making this thing. No.
I'm imagining
No.
the Lexus product planners going to a meeting
With their mood boards?
where they were presented with the BZ4X and they all went, huh.
You know what we should do to that? Everyone, not every car has to be Lexified.
True.
Not every car has to be made the luxury version of. If it's a Lexus, maybe that's the only version of that you could be able to buy, even though technically the BZ4X is sort of in the middle power-wise in between the 300 and the 450. Still, it's practically useless.
Oh, yeah, there's a value problem here for sure. For sure.
But people will buy it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And of course, they're thinking about the third buyer, too. So